Well, everybody, welcome to Mark Alford's Capital Recap. I'm Congressman Mark Alford here to give you the latest from our nation's capital in Washington, D.C., and what's happening in Missouri. Now, I know what you're thinking. Man, his voice sounds a little bit weird. I've got a really bad cold, fighting through it. Had it about a week. Maybe some of you listening are experiencing the same thing, but taking lots of Mucinex and some good old Vicks Vapor Rub helps. Anyway, want to tell you what we've been doing in Washington. This was a historic week in Washington. We're coming to you from our nation's capital. Before we get to that, I do want to say happy birthday, America, and happy Independence Day, the 249th anniversary of the independence from Great Britain. And next year is going to be huge, the 250th birthday party of America. Monica Crawley is a former news anchor for Fox, and the president has put her in charge of America's birthday party. It is going to be huge, but that's next year. Hope you had a good Independence Day with your family on July 4th, Friday. Let's look at what happened in Missouri's 4th. For a district work week, we were there all last week, but we got called back to the U.S. House because we needed to vote on the one big beautiful bill. The Senate did their work. They passed it. They went through this marathon vote-a-rama. You may have seen it played out on TV or heard about it, but they got it done. They sent it back over to the House. Look, we had to pass this historic piece of legislation. We promised to work quickly to really enact President Trump's full America First agenda, and this was part of it. So Tuesday morning, I was supposed to fly to Reagan at Washington Airport, but got diverted because of bad weather, ended up landing in Pittsburgh, rented a car, and drove 4.5 hours, slept on my office couch on Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, got up early and started debating the bill on the House floor. Look, we were elected to do exactly what this bill achieves. It secures the border. It makes the Trump tax cuts permanent. It delivers the largest working class tax cut in history. It unleashes American energy dominance. It restores peace through strength. It cuts wasteful spending. And really, it's a return to a government that puts you first, puts Americans first. So, as I said, I was able to debate this bill on the House floor. My part lasted about 2.5 minutes, but I want you to listen to it. It really encapsulates. And by the way, as I'm debating this bill, there's about 100 Democrats watching me, including Nancy Pelosi, staring me down. They know that they have been lying about this bill all along. It is not a tax cuts for the billionaires and millionaires. I set them straight on that. I looked them in the eye and said this. Our race today in support of the rule and in strong support of H.R. 1, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Today, Mr. Speaker, we face a watershed moment for the American people. This Republican majority was given a clear mandate by the American people, the America First agenda. This bill is our opportunity to deliver on that agenda. H.R. 1 stops the largest tax increase in U.S. history while providing the largest tax cut for working and middle-class families ever. With no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and tax breaks for seniors. H.R. 1 protects the 87,000 Missouri farms and countless family-owned small businesses from double taxation by expanding the death tax exemption. The One Big Beautiful Bill reverses 4 long years of Biden's open border policies with a generational investment in border security, including funding to complete Phase 2 of the border wall. The One Big Beautiful Bill modernizes our armed forces for 21st century threats by properly preparing our military and funding the Golden Dome. H.R. 1 ends the progressive left's war on America energy by unleashing domestic oil, natural gas, and nuclear energy production, lowering energy costs, ensuring reliable and stable energy sources, and renewing not just energy independence, but making us energy dominant once again. Finally, H.R. 1 restores fiscal sanity by cutting almost $2 trillion in federal spending, rescinding billions in green news scam funding, and eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse from numerous federal programs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a time for choosing. We can choose to side with the illegal aliens, unelected road bureaucrats, and fear-mongering from the America left, or we can choose to side with the American people and deliver on the mandate that they gave us back in November. I urge my colleagues to put America first, support the rule, and pass the one big, beautiful bill. And I yield back. Well, two people who have been very instrumental in getting this passed and really working on this for about 2 years is Jason Smith, a chairman of Ways and Means. He's also a representative from Missouri and a good friend of mine. He's really orchestrated a lot of this one big, beautiful bill. But also Speaker Mike Johnson has had a big role in this, and I give a lot of credit to him for keeping our conference together, to making sure that all voices were heard. Listen to him talking with Sean Hannity on the final passage of the one big, beautiful bill.
Here now with more is the Speaker himself from the great state of Louisiana. Mike Johnson is with us. Mr. Speaker, thank you for being here. I was in touch with senators all through the night last night. Didn't get a lot of sleep. I'm sure you probably didn't either. And I will tell you, there was a point where they were short one vote. And I know that there are some changes, and from the beginning you said and asked John Thune, you asked senators to make minimal changes possible. They have to deal with the reconciliation process. That does complicate things on their end. They have to deal with the Senate parliamentarian. That complicates things. Would you say 85 to 90% it's identical?
Yes, that's great, Sean. Good to be with you. 85 to 90% of this bill is the House-generated product. The Senate made some modifications to it. They made it more conservative in some places and moderated it a little bit in others. But I tell you what, as the president said so well today, this is no longer just a House bill. It's not a Senate bill. It's the bill of the people, of the hardworking American people, and we are going to deliver it. As you said, Sean, by July 4th. It is so critically important. Remember, we got a clear mandate from the people in November to do this. President Trump ran on a clear set of priorities and promises, and we did as well, and this is the vehicle to deliver it. We're almost there at that finish line.
When I went to Capitol Hill at the beginning of the year, and we did that town hall together, and the first thing I did ask your members, I said, everybody in this room, do you understand not everybody's going to get everything they want? Because everybody has different views on what should be in the bill, what shouldn't be in the bill, et cetera. And everybody agreed. But then when it comes down to it, be it the Senate or the House, you always have those few people that are going to be unhappy for whatever reason. And to me, when you look at the big picture, and Stephen Miller was so good on the show last night, he was like, Sean, I've been doing politics my entire adult life. This is the most conservative bill I've ever seen. I've been following politics since I was young. It's the most conservative bill I've ever seen. It's the biggest tax cut. It stands up for working men and women. It secures our border. It deports the illegal immigrant criminals. It brings us to energy dominance. It brings us the next generation of weaponry. There's a lot of good in this that you all really got across the finish line. I got to give you credit. I hope you can get this job done. Are you confident you can?
I'm confident we can. We're at the 1 yard line in this game that's been played over a year. Really, we worked on this for about 14 months to get us to this point. We're going to run it right up the middle and score for the American people. And I tell you what, everybody is going to benefit from this bill. Sean, as you noted, all those features. It's the most conservative piece of legislation we've ever worked on. You need to mention at the same time that even though while we're having historic tax cuts, we also have historic savings. We're going to save $1.6 trillion for the American people. We're going to cut down the size and scope of government, make it more efficient, make it work better for the people. They demand and deserve that, and the Republicans are delivering. So this is a vehicle. Let's also remember that this is just a step in a sequence of events. We are intending to do more reconciliation work. You can do a reconciliation budget for each fiscal year. So the plan is to do one in the fall for the FY26 budget year, and then we can also squeeze in a third one for FY27 before this Congress is up. At the same time, we're going to be passing rescissions packages from the White House to save more money and spending less in appropriations. We will get the government back to fiscal sanity, and we are the party to do it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. Now, the Democrats were demagoguing the bill. Oh, it's going to gut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, none of which is true, but that was their talking point of the night. And yet it also has savings but you're reducing the rate of growth. You have a work requirement, which I thought Republicans would like. Things that we didn't have before. I think it was the Wall Street Journal. They had found like $4.3 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse in the system in terms of Medicare, Medicaid. That's a lot of savings, hopefully, that's going to be included.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We are going to strengthen those programs to make sure that they're there for the people that desperately need them. You know, Medicaid, for example, is the only thing that's touched in this bill, by the way. Medicare and Social Security are off the table entirely. But when you're talking about Medicaid, we need to make sure the program is sustained for the people it's intended for. That's, you know, the elderly, the disabled, young pregnant mothers, down on the luck, for example. So that's what we do by reinstituting work requirements, right? If you're a young, able-bodied man, you should be helping to pull the wagon, not riding it. And so we have this very popular provision that says if you're going to receive Medicaid, you got to show that you're working or at least looking for a job or volunteering in your community. Sean, for 20 hours a week. It should be much more, but that is a minimal requirement that will reduce a lot of the abuse of the program and shore it up for the people that need it the most. We're very proud of that. And by the way, the American people love it. It's a common sense provision, and that's a theme through this entire bill. Common sense to get growth going, jet fuel to the U.S. economy so that all boats rise, wages rise, job participation numbers rise, and the economy grows at a rapid pace.
I want to go back to what you said, that there might be another reconciliation bill. If you go back to the last time we balanced the budget, it was Newt Gingrich. He was the speaker. Bill Clinton was the president. It was the era of big government is over, the end of welfare as we know it. And they did it with work requirements. They did it by reducing the rate of growth. How much growth can you reduce maybe at the next bite of the apple? And how committed is the entire caucus to that?
Well, we want to reduce the growth rate of the debt, of course, and you do that in two ways. You limit spending, you reduce federal spending, and you spur on economic growth. That's what this package is all about. Remember the first 2 years of the Trump administration. After the first 2 years, we brought about the greatest economy in the history of the world. It wasn't even close. Prior to COVID, everybody was doing better, literally every demographic in the country and every region of the country, because we had a combination of reduced taxes and reduced regulations. We're going to do that again this time in this bill on steroids. It really will be jet fuel to the economy, and everyone will benefit. We're estimating the average American will have an additional $10,000 take-home pay because of this. You will have no taxes on your tips and on your overtime. Seniors will get a reduction in taxes because of a credit they'll have. Those on Social Security. There's something in this bill, literally, as the president said today, for everyone. It is great policy and is going to help the economy, help the American people, and fulfill the promises of the America First agenda. Getting it done by July 4th will be purely poetic and perfect for all of us.
You know, there were a lot of critics of the president and his trade and tariff policy, but he got $10 trillion in commitments for manufacturing, including things that impact national security, and that would be pharmaceutical manufacturing, that would be semiconductor chips, and we're going to bring back auto manufacturing in the country. You add that, you add whatever value becoming an energy-rich nation brings to the country and the high-paying career jobs with all of it, and the tax cuts, which always increase revenues to the government, which nobody ever seems to factor in. I think we have a formula for success, and then come back and cut some more. I think that'd be great. Mr. Speaker, we'll be watching tomorrow. What's your timeline on this?
Well, we're having weather delays getting everybody back right now, but assuming we have a full House, we'll get it through the Rules Committee in the morning. We'll move that forward to the floor, and hopefully we're voting on this by tomorrow or Thursday at latest. Depending on the weather, delays, and travel, and all the rest, that's the wild card that we can't control.
All right, folks, when we come back, you're going to hear from one of the 4th District's constituents and small business owners on how the One Big Beautiful Bill is so crucial for their survival. Stay tuned. We'll also be diving into our June Small Business and Veteran of the Month. You'll learn who those persons are. You're listening to Mark Alford's Capital Recap. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Mark Alford's Capital Recap. We're glad you joined us. Hope you had a great Independence Day with your family on Friday. We got a big week ahead next week. We've been talking about the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill, historic passage. Now let's hear straight from you, our constituents and our listeners. We sent our team out to find out what does it mean for you guys if we pass this and if we don't pass it. We talked to the owner of Beckett Motors. He's in Camden, Missouri, just off 54 Highway. And he tells us why he needs the tax cuts extended.
Hello, my name's John Beckett, owner of Beckett Motors in Camdenton, Missouri. Big supporter of Donald Trump and the big beautiful bill that is in the Senate right at the moment. The big beautiful bill and the tax cuts for us small businesses is a must. When that went into effect, I got the biggest raise of my life back during the first Trump administration as a small business owner. I've been here for 22 years in Camdenton and 32 years in the automotive industry selling cars. And I can tell you, we need this extended. We need the Senate to act and to continue with Donald Trump's agenda. Business has been better than ever the last 6 months, and we need that to keep rolling.
Well, thank you very much. Now we want to honor our June Small Business and Veteran of the Month. We recognize the amazing jump of faith that the owner of In Full Bloom and our Small Business of the Month recipient, Gretchen, made. We told her story on the House floor as well, as we do each month with our Veteran of the Month and Small Business. And here's a little more about her.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize our June Small Business of the Month, In Full Bloom. It's a flower shop just off the square in Centralia, Missouri, in our district. It's kind of the result of a leap of faith. Owner Gretchen Spires' vision came to life when she started the shop where creative design meets small business. She has grown this phenomenal floral shop over 16 years. And she shared her story of prayer and faith with our team. This journey of becoming a small business owner is the American dream, and we are proud for her success. We love stopping by to see a full display of prom corsages, flower arrangements, and beautiful gifts for loved ones. Thank you for all you do for the Centralia community, and congratulations.
We also wanted to recognize Colonel Butler from Whiteman Air Force Base as our Veteran of the Month. He has turned over duties and retired about 2 weeks ago, but he won't be a veteran until October, but I wanted to go ahead and honor him now. He's a good friend of mine, and he helped plan basically the bombing of the Iranian nuclear facility. He was the commanding officer of Whiteman Air Force Base until about 2 or 3 days before that happened and turned over the reins to Colonel Whitla, who's new, and we'll have him on in future segments as well. But we want to go ahead and recognize Colonel Butler's achievements. Listen here.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize our June Veteran of the Month, a new veteran, Colonel Keith J. Butler. Colonel Butler enlisted in the Air Force in 1991 and was selected for Air Force ROTC scholarship in 1997. He earned his commission through the University of South Carolina and served in operational staff and command assignments as an F-16, F-17, and B-2 pilot. Colonel Butler has held positions at the Squadron Group Wing, Major Command, Direct Reporting Unit, and Joint Staff levels. Currently the commander of the 509th Bomb Wing at Whiteman Air Force Base, home of the B-2 stealth bomber, since June of 2023, and he is retiring in just a few weeks. He's flown combat missions and held several other positions all over the world. He's decorated with many awards and is respected by many, and I'm proud to call Colonel Butler a friend. We thank you. Thank you, sir, for your bravery, your service, and your dedication to America. Congratulations on a well-earned retirement, Colonel Butler.
Congratulations to both of these incredible individuals. All right, switching gears before we go. So as you know, each week we like to remind you about the services that we have for you available out of our office. We had some folks, the Hardisons, who were not getting their CHAMP VA benefits. So our casework team lead, Grace, took the right steps, got in contact with the VA. The Hardisons' application was finally processed. Their children can go to the doctor again. Made us very proud. I'm so proud of Grace and Michelle and Patrick, all of our caseworkers who do amazing work. But it's stories like this that make us proud that we are working for you. In total last week, we returned about $40,000 back to you, the constituents, that the federal government is holding on to your money. So in total, that's over almost $5.5 million in 2.5 years that we've returned to the taxpayers. Whether you're having a problem with the VA, Social Security, maybe you need a passport in a hurry, you're trying to go on a vacation, you forgot yours had expired, we can help you with that. Just go to our website, alford.house.gov. That's alford.house.gov, and sign up for our newsletter, please. Next week, we're going to begin taking your questions. We've got a call-in number that we're developing. We're going to take your questions, and I will answer those questions in a segment that we're doing on this radio broadcast podcast. But before we end things here this week, we want to take a time to share our Sunday scripture. It's from the Apostle Paul, and his letter to the Galatians 5:1. He says, "For freedom Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery." What is he talking about? He's talking about the slavery of sin. You know, as we celebrate Independence Day this weekend, Paul really gives us encouragement to stand firm in our independence and liberty and not be burdened by things that have held us back in the past, the slavery of sin. Jesus gives you the power to break through from that. Pick up your Bible and read Galatians. It's a very interesting letter. Go back and read Romans, my favorite book in the Bible. Hey, thanks for listening to our Capital Recap, Mark Alford's Capital Recap. I'm so grateful that you sent me to Washington to be your voice and your vote. We will never stop working for you. Until next time, remember, I believe in America. I believe in you. And most importantly, I believe that our greatest days are still ahead. Good day, and God bless.